Alright, so I am stringing an E-Force Heatseeker 175, and you want to mount it so that the Heatseeker logo is upward here, or right side up, and that the color coding on the different grommets are on the bottom half when it's mounted. And so what I started with was I ran, and I'm stringing it with a Dunlop 17 gauge synthetic gut in green because I like this color and it's my racket. And what I did to start was I ran 8.5 feet of string down the orange grommet on the right hand side labeled start. So this is 2 head right. I ran 8.5 feet of string down through the orange tube, which is the second tube from the top in the middle set of tubes. And then I ran it around the handle here up the other side orange tube, which is again second from the top. It's perfectly aligned at the back of the handle here, so you know which one. And then up through the orange grommet here, which is 3 head left. And I'm going to start with my starting clamp here, and I'm going to initially just pull tension. And I always use this method with the starting clamp because the idea here is I want to get tension through the clamp. I don't want there to be an untensioned length of string through the clamp at any point. So this way, this is already tensioned, and that includes the string that's going through this clamp here. That'll give you a better result later. Now that this is clamped, I'm going to do the exact same pull again and clamp like usual. So I clamp here. And because I want to get this bottom clamp out of the way, I'm actually going to come back and pull on this starting clamp now. And go ahead and move this clamp to the top. So now that clamp's not in the way at the bottom when I continue this. Okay, so I have the first 2 mains done. Now I want to come back to the short side, and this is not that much string. I'm only doing a couple more string mains with this. But I want to run it from 3 head left, which is orange, over to 1 head right, which is red. And I want to run it down through the red tube, which is the top tube. Of course, I'm on the right side of the racket here. I'm running it down the red tube on the right side, and then behind the handle, I'm running it up through the red tube on the left side of the racket and out 4 head left. And then I'm going to want to double pull tension and clamp here. And I'm going to raise my tension because the way that the tie-off sits on an E-Force racket makes it really hard to get good tension on your knot. You're definitely going to lose a couple pounds. So I'm going to go up 4 pounds. Oops. Didn't quite get a good grip. Not a lot of string here. So close this. So I'm pulling. And I don't know if I said already, but I'm pulling, most of my pulls I'm pulling at 32 pounds plus a 10% pre-stretch. And for those of you that aren't aware, on a constant pull machine like this electronic machine that I'm using, a 10% pre-stretch on 32 pounds means the initial pull is right about just under 36 pounds. And then after it starts losing tension, the machine maintains a 32 pound tension from then on. So it's roughly the equivalent of like a 36 pound pull on a lockout machine. But it's a little different method. Hopefully has a little bit better tension maintenance this way. And I'm going to do my tie off at 3 head left. I'm going to rock my knot back and forth as much as I can. Pull off here, and this is where you lose that tension because the knot has to go 1/8 of an inch or so to sit back into the grommets like that. But now that tie off is done. Okay, so now I continue with the long side, which takes a little longer because you have to feed a lot more string through these holes. So I continue back where I started at 2 head right, which is the orange hole, and here I want to go over to 2 head left, which is yellow. And I'm going to run it down the yellow tube, which is the 3rd from the top on the left hand side. so you have to pull a lot more here. And then up the yellow tube, which again, go from the top in the middle bank. And then up the yellow tube on the right, which is 3 head right. And I make sure I bring my tension back down from the tie-off tension. So I'm going to go back to 32 pounds, 10% pre-stretch. I don't know if I was pre-stretching correctly just now, but since it's my own racket, I'm not going to go back and double check. So let's pull tension here. Oh, I aired out. Why did I air out? That's my head pulled too far there, so let's do that again. It's running out of space to pull is why. Okay, so tension and clamp there. Okay, now I'm gonna run this over to 1 head left, which is the green hole, and down the green tube, which is the 4th one in the middle bank. And then up the green tube on the right side. And then right out the green tube, which is 4 head right. I was just looking what appeared to be a little crack in my racket. I can't quite tell. That should be the way it's manufactured. I think it is. Okay, so hold tension here. And it did the same thing again, unfortunately. So I'm going to reclamp. This is the problem with double pulling on an E-Force racket, is that you're pulling a lot of excess slack through the tube. Okay. Alright, so now we're moving into the outer bank of tubes. I believe we go right to blue first. So that would be 4, 5, 6 head right. Second tube on the outer bank is blue. It's really hard to tell. Up through the second tube on the left-hand side, which is blue, and then out 6 head left. And then tension and pull. Tension and clamp, rather. Didn't quite air out that time. I let it sit for just a second because since I'm double pulling through an area with heavy friction, I don't think it hurts to let it sit and pull for a second. Okay. Alright, now we go to purple. So that's 7 head left. Down through the top tube, purple on the outer bank. Through the top 2 on the right hand side, and then up to 5 head right, which is the purple labeled grommet. And I gotta make room here because that's being blocked by another string. And tension and clamp here. Same thing again. mind letting it sit for a second. Okay, and then finally, we go to 7 head right, which is the white tube, and then we go to the final tube, which is the third tube on the bottom tube on the outer bank. Feed that through. And my tube is definitely tweaking out a little here. It's kind of like coming undone or something. I'm going to try and hold it with these pliers. It doesn't. These tubes are awesome when they're not giving you trouble. Sometimes they're a little tricky to string through. I feel like I'm right there. I don't have a lot of space here though. Yeah, this tube is like coming loose. Oh, we're so close. Huh. That's what you run into sometimes. It really sucks. Alright, got it. It's not pretty, but we got it. Okay. Yeah, so that tube's a little like stretched out or out of alignment, probably from, I don't know, removing the strings or just the extraordinary life of this racket. So I'm going to try to push it sort of down a little. It's fine. It looks fine in the handle. So across to the bottom tube, lower left hand tube on the left hand edge, and then up through 5 head left, I guess, which is the white grommet. And then we'll start the crosses from here. The nice thing about a one piece, well, the bad part about a one piece is that you have to feed a lot of string through on the long side, as you guys just saw. The nice thing is that I just can start the crosses from right here. Although I do want to be careful that when I start the crosses, this clamp right here, I leave some room. Tighten that up so that I could go under or over this first string here. Okay. Oh, that's not good. Now, I do not recommend this, but I need to re-pull tension here because I realize I just overlapped. Oh, actually, that's fine. I can undo this. I still have tension here. Let go, let go. There we go. Glad this is my racket because that sucks. I accidentally went over these two strings here instead of under them when I came up, so I would come back and go under so they don't overlap. It's a little sloppy. My bad. Okay, that looks better. Now the string's properly aligned down here. Okay, so let's pull this again. Alright, now we start our crosses right here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 head left. And I'm going to, there's a rule about odds and evens and if you should hard weave and soft weave, but I'm going to hard weave here, which is by going under this first one. So I go under, oops. I'm going to go under here, over here. Okay. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. And I can undo this clamp now. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Okay, and then I feed it out here. It's going to be a little tricky to get fed because there is another string here already. So I'm going to use my pliers. And to be a little careful because I'm pulling through the clamp and I don't want it to caught. And move this as I pull. Alright, perfect. And I'm going to string one ahead on the crosses before I pull tension. So let's pull this top cross. Up here. And now we just do the rest of the crosses fairly normally. Of course you got the little power boosters here, but it doesn't really change anything. So we're going to continue to string, I'm going to clip this knot actually to get it out of my way, but then we're going to continue to string one ahead before pulling tension. And I can remove this clamp now. Make it easier. Now just all crosses. One thing to keep in mind if you are ever stringing or interested in stringing is to try and pay attention to where the end of your strings are at all times. If I keep this string in my hand or relatively visible, like right now I'm keeping it in my hand, makes your job a lot easier. Of course I'm gonna, oops, as I was talking I pulled it too much. Of course I'm gonna let it down when I pull tension here, but keep track of it while you're weaving and such. So now I immediately go for the end of the string again. Okay, you did about 6 more pulls, and then we're done. But we start running low on string because E-Force uses so much string, so these last these last few weaves and pulls tend to be a little nerve-wracking. Because you can't string ahead anymore. I think I got about one more where you can string ahead. You can pull this one and then I can't string ahead anymore. So I'm just going to pull tension on this, and then the next 2 pulls or next 2 weaves are going to be a pain in the butt. But that's okay. Alright, so now we gotta do hard weave since we pulled tension already. So these are gonna be a little slower.
But we only have to do it twice, so that's okay.
And before I forget, I'm going to turn my tension up on my last pull because of the knot again. And then one more hard weave. These dang E-forces, they use so much more string. It's like several feet more than all the other rackets. Okay, last one. Last pull. Knot right here. Rock the knot back and forth a couple times as much as you can on this weird frame here. Let this clamp off, let this clamp off. Let that knot sit into that channel. Clip the knot. Check for any issues, although I probably should have before I clip the knot. Since it's my racket, I am good. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, let me know.